Hi, my name is Dan Willingham. I'm a cognitive psychologist who studies how we can apply what we know about the mind to education. Most recently, I've been interested in reading. I've just published a book on reading that focuses on the mental processes at work in an experienced reader when they're comprehending text. What are all the little bits and pieces of what the mind is doing as someone is reading? I've just created a series of 5 short videos to give you a little taste of what's in the book. All the videos recorded here in my telegenic office that I hope will give you some sense of how interesting and exciting reading is. Today I want to tell you about a fact that's really crucial in the way cognitive psychologists think about reading. That fact is that reading is evolutionarily recent. Reading is no more than about 6,000 years old. Now, the implication of that for reading researchers is that when we're trying to figure out the mental processes that support reading, we expect that those processes are not going to be specialized for reading. Those specialized processes wouldn't exist because reading is a recently invented technology. So instead, we're going to be looking for mental processes that evolved for a different purpose. The mind is sort of like MacGyver, using whatever tools come to hand to solve a complex problem. Now, this principle is pretty intuitive for vision. If I asked you, how do you think the mind differentiates different letters? How is it able to see the difference between the letter D and the letter P? You wouldn't think, well, there's a special part of the brain that differentiates letters. You would say, like, well, we have a visual system. And sure, the visual system, with lots and lots of experience, it's maybe really, really good at differentiating letters. It gets sort of specialized in that way. But still, we start with a basic visual system. Now, what's interesting is people frequently don't think that way about reading comprehension. They think of reading comprehension as sort of a specialized process. But that's not really accurate. Reading comprehension, just like vision, reading comprehension is not going to be specialized. Reading comprehension is piggybacking on oral language comprehension. That the brain did evolve to solve that problem. And so that's the mental process that reading comprehension sort of gloms onto. That has a really important implication, which is that if you're a fluent decoder, written language is very similar to spoken language in terms of comprehension. And that means if we can boost listening comprehension in children, we will simultaneously be boosting reading comprehension. There are a few implications of that. One is that it sort of lends support to something we already believed, which is we already thought that it was important to read aloud to children, not only before they can read, but even after they read. And now this gives us some insight into why that is, that if we're reading books aloud to children that are a little bit challenging for them, they're going to grow from that. And so that is boosting their listening comprehension. That in turn is going to boost reading comprehension. But it's even broader than that. It's not just about when a child is listening to someone read aloud to them. Anytime the child is listening to someone speak, there's an opportunity there for a little bit of challenge, to stretch the child a little bit, to stretch their vocabulary, to stretch the complexity of the syntax they're hearing, to stretch the knowledge that's required to put together the sentences and clauses and figure out what's being said. So I'll get to some of the particulars of what goes into reading comprehension in a future video and what that challenge might look like. I hope you'll stay with me.